We're here today not only to mourn Cadet Munn's loss, but also to celebrate his life and his service to our country. This is an unusual funeral, one that the Munn family have been waiting on for over 65 years.
Cadet Munn joined the Army Air Corps to become a pilot. He was stationed in Santa Ana, California for navigational training. It must have been around that time when he became known as the Blonde Bomber. Cadet Munn's character, his sense of duty is celebrated and given a rightful place of honor today.
Ernest Glenn Munn was just 23 years old when he died on November 18, 1942. He was the oldest of 4 children growing up in Pleasant Grove, Ohio.
We were just like 4 ornery kids. We were just playing and doing different things and working on the farm. And my brother would always do something to some of the farm equipment and make something for us to get on and ride. And he'd start up at the top of the hill and take us down through the meadow and open gates and down clear in the bottom. And we thought we was going to be killed, you know. We was screaming and crying. And he just had a barrel of fun with us.
Well, he was handsome, yes, and I don't know, knowing he was older, that we should listen to him, you know. If he told us not to do something, why, we didn't do it. So I think Mother had him to kind of watch over us when she was washing clothes or something, you know. So he kind of looked after us.
I just have the memory that I was always with him at home. These girls kind of went together, and I was a fly in their ointment, you know, because I was younger. And so he took me under his wing, and we'd do a lot of things together. And he was my idol, really. I loved him so much.
His father was a farmer who also owned a local gas station, and his mom a homemaker. After graduating from Martins Ferry High School in 1936, Glenn worked a few years at Fidelity Investment Corporation in Wheeling.
One of the other fellows that was working there was so crazy about getting into the service that he said he was going to get into the Air Force. And so then Glenn got excited about it, and that's what did it. And they both enlisted. He had never flown before. He thought that was going to be great. He was real excited about it. You know, little farm boy, you know, thinking about going up in the air and flying an airplane. Why, he was just all set for that. And the time he was in there, he really enjoyed it as he was on his training missions. And the letters he would write home to Mother, he was just happy as anything.
November 5th, 1942. Dear Mother, I received your lovely letter 4 days ago, but I have been so busy that I have not had time for anything. My girlfriend and a friend of hers drove up from Santa Ana this last weekend. We had a good time. Went to a dinner dance at the Hotel Senator in Sacramento. Things like that are good for the mind and soul. Getting away from the regular, arduous routine. It makes one feel like a free man again. We ran into a storm and came back. They don't like to fly over those very high mountains when it is stormy, because they are afraid of downdrafts forcing the plane into a side of a mountain. Not that I was scared, but I was glad when they decided that we had better go back. If I don't mention any particular names at home, tell them not to feel bad, because I do think of you all constantly. I must close now. Your loving son, Glenn.
This was the last letter Munn wrote to his mother. 2 weeks later, a training mission over the Sierra Nevada mountains in California went wrong. Glenn's sister Jean still vividly recalls finding out that her brother was missing.
It was November, and it was a lovely day. I was working at a service station in Martins Ferry during the wartime, greasing cars and changing oil and all that stuff that they do at service station. And my dad drove in, and I wondered, what's Dad doing here? And he says, Glenn's been lost. Well, that just floored me, you know. Mother was really upset. Well, she tried to keep us from feeling bad, but I'd catch her in another room crying and, you know, things like that. And we all were just upset about it.
5 years after the crash, hikers discovered the wreckage. There were scattered remains and clothing, but no bodies.
In my own mind, I wondered if they were really searching as much as they should through the years. Missing, there's hope. And that's all we had to depend on, was just, you know, that someday he would be found and we'd have him back this way with us.
But more than 60 years later, hikers found the body of a World War II airman encased in ice. Aviation cadets Munn, Leo Mustonen, Melvin Mortensen, and pilot William Gamber had all died when their plane crashed in Kings Canyon National Park.
Well, we thought for sure it was Glenn because they said it was a blonde. And all the pictures that we saw of the four, we didn't think anybody else had blonde hair but Glenn. But I guess this other fella had blonde hair also. So that was sort of a sad time. We thought sure it was him, and it wasn't.
That body was Munn's fellow cadet, Leo Mustonen. While Munn's sisters were happy Mustonen's family would receive closure, they wondered if they would live long enough to see their brother found.